Christmas starts here at H&L Rapid True Value. Get Christmas ready by shopping the latest in our catalog. The time brought to you by H&L Rapid True Value is...
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robian Williams.
And I'm Dana Davey.
In Nationwide News at this hour, JCF confirms discovery of large cache of weapons hidden in food barrels at the wharf.
The find includes 3 fully assembled firearms with enough parts for 40 additional guns.
St. Elizabeth Police names several persons of interest in relation to sexual offences.
In a number of the cases, the accused persons are known or they are close relatives of the victims.
Couple taken into custody in connection with early morning fire that claimed the lives of 2 8-year-old boys in Westmoreland.
Indian spiritual leader says schools should prioritize relaxation and emotional intelligence among students.
The brain is so tired. We need to attend to this aspect of giving them deeper relaxation.
In news from the rest of the world, Grenada's geothermal energy development project gets £10 million funding support from the UK.
U.S. President Joe Biden issues 39 presidential pardons and commutes 1,500 sentences.
In headline sports, Amir Jangu hits a maiden century in his ODI debut for the West Indies.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Constabulary Force has confirmed the finding of a large cache of weapons and ammunition at the port in Kingston on Wednesday night. The find includes 3 guns and parts to make at least 40 more.
Also in the cover story, the government is considering significantly increasing penalties for breaches of the Wildlife Protection and the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Acts. CEO of the Jamaica Environment Trust, Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, and environmentalist Peter Espute will join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, who's the person of the year in Jamaica for 2024? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, has lauded former Prime Minister Michael Manley as one of her earliest mentors.
You cannot talk about Michael Manley and his politics without appreciating the man and his ability to make even me as a young teenager feel there was purpose.
You'll hear more from her keynote address at the Michael Manley Centenary Lecture.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, Thursday, December 12, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC's Festive Feast. Crunch the holidays with a KFC Family 12 bucket and try KFC's new dessert biscuits. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF has confirmed the seizure of a large cache of weapons and ammunition at the port in Kingston. News of the find first broke on Wednesday. Nationwide News understands that the police intended to have controlled delivery of the shipment in order to trace it to the likely importer. However, those efforts were compromised due to a leak of the information. Dana Davey reports.
In a statement on Thursday, the JCF says the shipment originated from the United States and included 5 barrels declared as containing grocery and clothing items. However, upon inspection, the barrels were found to contain a large quantity of illegal firearms and ammunition. They include 3 fully assembled firearms and various component parts such as pistol slides, rifle barrels, and magazines. The JCF says its preliminary assessment indicates that the component parts can assemble an additional 39 pistols and 1 rifle. It says more than 2,800 assorted ammunition was also discovered among the seized items. The JCF says the seizure resulted from a joint operation between the Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division, FNID, and the Jamaica Customs Agency's Contraband Enforcement Team. According to the head of FNID, SSP Samuel Blake, the seizure is a significant blow to criminal organizations operating in Jamaica. The JCF says investigations into the seizure are ongoing. It says the FNID continues to work with local and international law enforcement agencies to identify those responsible for the illicit shipment. The latest weapons find is the second largest recovery reported at the Kingston Wharves since the start of the year. On February 16, more than 60 pistols as well as 965 rounds of 9mm ammunition were seized at the wharf. The 64 guns reportedly arrived in the island disassembled. 2 individuals were taken into custody for that seizure. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang has warned persons involved in trafficking firearms to the island to desist from engaging in transnational organized crime. He says persons who facilitate firearms trafficking will experience the full force of the law. Dr. Chang commended the efforts of the Jamaica Customs Agency, the security forces, and international partners for the recovery of the firearms and ammunition.
Head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, has named several persons of interest who are being sought in relation to sexual offences committed in the parish. According to data from the Jamaica Constabulary Force's website, 19 cases of rape have been recorded in St. Elizabeth as at December 7. That's 5 fewer than the corresponding period in 2023. Superintendent Minto says in a number of instances, the perpetrators are known or related to the victims.
The most recent case took place against a 14-year-old female student. The police is seeking one Sebastian McLean, O.C. Sean, 18-year-old, for offences that took place in the Lacovia policing area. He's a person of interest for incest, grievous sexual assault, and the offences were committed between June 2023 and December 2024. Damian Robinson, a Silo address, the person of interest in a case of grievous sexual assault. David Pottinger of a Goshen address, wanted for having sexual intercourse with a person under the age of 16. Paul Smith of Carisbrook is wanted for rape, and that was committed the 9th of May 2019.
Meanwhile, Superintendent Minto says there's been a reduction in other major crimes in the parish. As a highlight, he says no murders were recorded for the month of November.
We have to date 218 serious crimes recorded in the parish. This is compared to 334 for the corresponding period in 2023, showing a 116 major crimes less, or 35%. The month of November was a zero murder month. This is actually the first time in 18 months that the parish is experiencing going through a month without having a murder. As of December 11th this year, the division recorded 29 murders when compared to 36 for the similar period last year.
Superintendent Coleridge Minto, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division. He was speaking at a recent meeting of the parish's municipal corporation.
And Superintendent Minto says no bike show permits will be granted in St. Elizabeth for the festive season.
That decision was a collective decision when I met with my management team and we discussed it. Last year, 17 persons died from motorcyclists. This year, 12 died. We have seized hundreds of unlicensed motorbikes, uninsured bikes, and scores of these drivers continue to drive without wearing safety helmets. And so we're not approving any bike show during this period. And I'm sure you can understand the reason behind that.
In addition, he says traffic changes will be implemented in Santa Cruz starting next Monday, December 16.
With effect from Monday, the 16th of December at 7 a.m., the main street will be converted into a one-way for motorists traveling in a westerly direction. This will be from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. Persons traveling east that is heading from Westmoreland coming this way will make a left turn at the traffic light at Wanstead Street and continue bypassing the town of Santa Cruz. Persons who are on that road who wish to enter the town can do so via Market Street or Institution Drive. These changes will continue until Saturday, January 4, 2025.
Superintendent Coleridge Minto, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division.
A man and a woman have been taken into custody in connection with the death of two 8-year-old boys who perished in a fire early Thursday morning in a community in White House in Westmoreland. The woman is said to be the mother of one of the children and the grandmother of the other. The man, her common-law spouse, was also taken in for questioning. The Savannah Lamar Fire Brigade team was alerted to the fire at approximately 12:22 a.m. Reports are that the boys were left at home by their guardian, who works at a bar in the area. Tragedy struck when a candle being used to provide electricity came in contact with combustible materials in the home. The bodies of Jamar Reed and Romaine Powell were discovered during cooling down operations. Reacting to the incident, Member of Parliament for Eastern Westmoreland, Daniel Lawrence, says the community is in a somber mood. Mr. Lawrence is urging parents to ensure that their children are properly supervised.
The mood in the area presently, it is a bit tense, sorrowful. People really feel it to the core. The loss of two young lives is really a great loss for the community. And being the Member of Parliament for that community, it is really heartrending for me. To me, it is really something that we have to pay better attention to in terms of children in house. We need to protect them in a more sincere way to ensure their safety as much as possible. Because losing these two young boys, it is not really easy for the family, for the community, just about for everyone. I think everybody in Jamaica is supposed to feel a loss like this, and I hope this may never happen again.
Daniel Lawrence, Member of Parliament for Eastern Westmoreland.
Founder of the Art of Living Foundation, Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, says schools need to place more emphasis on ensuring that children are relaxed and emotionally intelligent. The Indian spiritual leader spoke at Thursday's Crime Prevention Through Social Intervention panel discussion hosted by the Amber Group at the Summit Hotel. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
In 1981, Gurudev Ravi Shankar founded the Art of Living Foundation, a volunteer-based organization that has centers in 180 countries, including Jamaica. The United Nations accredited foundation offers self-development programs, meditation exercises, and disaster relief efforts. Speaking at the Amber Group's panel discussion on Thursday, Gurudev highlighted the importance of education and the role it plays in the prevention of crime worldwide. He says the learning process in today's society must be focused on making children relaxed as they further their studies.
Attention span was only 40 minutes then. Today, it's 30 seconds. So with the bombardment of so much technology and then the stimuli to the brain is so tired. And when you are so tired and you are susceptible to all sorts of negative reactions. And so we need to attend to this aspect of giving them deeper relaxation, making them have more fun. Whatever we need to teach has to teach in a way that it's a hands-on thing where they are physically involved in doing something, then that gives deeper impression and better learning process.
Gurudev says children who are under high and untreated levels of stress and anxiety are more susceptible to rejecting school and choosing a life of crime.
The society and the knowledge is growing so fast, but we have not matched with that pace of change with our educational systems. Our syllabus is stuck somewhere back. In this fast age, we need to give them a much better system of education which doesn't create stress and anxiety in them. Unfortunately, that's what is happening. Students who want to do better, they are suffering from stress, anxiety and sleep issues. And those children who do not care for anything, they simply drop out from the studies and they go to streets and they think of doing something different.
He also made mention of the negative social norms which encourage rebellious behavior in youth. Gurudev says the education system must do more to educate children on emotional control to prevent them from falling victim to these negative norms.
What they learn is being a macho or being a rebel or being violent is heroism. And if heroism gets attached to violence, you can't expect anything else in the society, and young people will move in that direction. The way we educate our people, not educate our people about our own emotions, our own feelings, and just stuff them as a machine of information, it's not going to work. We have to be more humane. We have to bring up more talents in people, compelling an individual to be more creative.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Minister of Education, Senator Dana Morris Dixon, says education in Jamaica must be reformed in a manner that promotes holistic development.
Education, we have to really completely rethink it. And I feel very strongly about that. When you look at even our children in our primary schools and our prep schools and the exams they have to do at the end, they're stressed. They are, their parents who choose to take their children out of extracurricular activities so that they'll focus on school, what they consider school. But there's much more to the holistic development of a person. And our educational system has to be geared towards that. And so there is more than just the bookwork and learning your math and your English. We also have to be developing people.
The minister also highlighted the need for increased focus on students who suffer from trauma.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
17 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston and 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Continuing the news, the sitting of the Clarendon Municipal Corporation ended in chaos on Thursday after councillors representing the People's National Party, PNP, renewed their call for JLP councillor Joel Williams to resign as mayor. This after the PNP's Delroy Dawson regained control of the Annan Town Division as a result of winning the November 22 by-election. There were heated exchanges among members from both sides.
We're not doing nothing illegal. We're following the act. We're following the act. We're not doing nothing illegal. So we're following the act. But we're not doing nothing illegal. You can't tell me to where. You can't tell me to where.
I would suggest minority leader, you let good sense prevail. And I'm saying to you, we will take it where it falls.
Mr. Chairman, what does the act states that will happen in the event of a tie?
Dawson defeated the JLP's Suzette Barton by a margin of 54 votes. The result means there is a tie in the Clarendon Municipal Corporation, with the PNP winning the popular vote. The party with the popular vote typically decides who should be selected as mayor. But Mayor Williams previously told our news centre that there is a nuance in the law that supports the sitting mayor once he has already been installed.
According to the law, that future is secure and safe. The law says you can't remove the mayor once he's appointed. When I became mayor, we were 12-10, and so that holds, even though they would have won the seat. On Friday, the 12-10 situation would have been the one that would have helped to make sure that I continue to serve as the mayor. And it is in the law.
Councillor Joel Williams, Mayor of Clarendon.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The United Kingdom has announced a £10 million funding package to support Grenada's geothermal energy development project. During a meeting in St. George, UK Minister for Latin America and Caribbean, Baroness Chapman, unveiled the investment aimed at exploring Grenada's geothermal energy potential. The funding will support critical resource testing, including drilling exploratory wells to assess the viability of geothermal electricity generation. If successful, the exploration could unlock potential for a geothermal power plant that could displace 55% of Grenada's electricity generation from diesel, enhancing energy security and reducing costs for citizens and businesses. This funding builds on the UK's previous investment of £19.3 million in renewable energy initiatives across 6 Caribbean countries since 2015.
U.S. President Joe Biden has issued presidential pardons to 39 Americans convicted of nonviolent crimes and commuted the sentences of nearly 1,500 other people. The White House described it as the most acts of presidential clemency issued in a single day. It comes after Biden made the decision to pardon his own son, Hunter Biden. The U.S. Constitution decrees that a president has the broad power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Announcing the move, Biden said those pardoned had shown successful rehabilitation and have shown commitment to making their communities stronger and safer. The White House said the individuals had committed either a non-violent offense or a non-violent drug offense. It did not name the specific crimes they were convicted of committing. Several of those pardoned were individuals who had been released from prison. Many were veterans or they had become community leaders or advocates.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, JCF confirms discovery of large cache of weapons hidden in food barrels at the wharf.
The find includes 3 fully assembled firearms with enough parts for 40 additional guns.
St. Elizabeth Police named several persons of interest in relation to sexual offences. And a couple taken into custody in connection with early morning fire that claimed the lives of 2 8-year-old boys in Westmoreland. I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Dana Davey.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by KFC's Festive Feast. Crunch the holidays with a KFC Family 12 bucket and try KFC's new dessert biscuits. KFC, it's finger licking good.
This holiday season, give yourself the gift of a dream washing machine. Buy Speed Queen at Singer from November 15th to December 31st and get the chance to win a washer or dryer in the Speed Queen Dream Clean promotion. Plus, our winner will also get to spread the joy this Christmas and donate a washer to a local children's home. Imagine having more time for what matters most: family, friends, and freedom from laundry worries. Singer and Speed Queen, spreading joy one load at a time. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Start your engines and drive out with a brand new car with the ATL Rule the Road promotion.
Wait a minute, get it how you live.
Kia, BYD, Honda, BMW, Mini, Audi, and VW are coming to Nationwide 90 FM.
Big stepper, underground God.
6 Bradley Avenue on December 13, 16, and 17 for viewing. Catch the excitement on December 13 during the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. Then catch them again on December 16 and 17 during Cliffviews Online, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Hey man, I wanna proud like I'm a favorite dove.
Bring your family, friends, co-workers, and the relatives you haven't talked to in years to Nationwide 90 FM. Men, come for a car for yourself and your lady. You won't get a deal better than this. Can't make it? Tune into the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. on December 13 and Cliffviews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on December 16 and 17. It's the ATL Rule the Road promotion. 6 Bradley Avenue, December 13, 16, and 17. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by ATL Automotive.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Good afternoon with your sports report. I am Alric Swaby. We bowl things off with some cricket as the West Indies achieved the highest run chase in the history of one-day international at Warner Park as they beat Bangladesh by 4 wickets on Thursday to complete a sweep of their 3-match series. Trinidad and Tobago's 27-year-old Amir Jangu slammed an undefeated century on debut to lead the victory charge. Jangu belted 6 fours and 4 sixes in an undefeated 104 to steer the Windies to 325 for 6 in 45.5 overs after they were set 322 to win. Jangu shared in a 132-run 5th wicket stand with Casey Carty, who made 95. Gudakesh Moti 44 not out and Shafeen Rutherford 30 also scored well. Earlier, Mamadul crashed 84, Captain Heidi Hassan Miraz 77 and Sumara Sharjah 73 to lead the Bangladesh batting against Alzara Joseph 2 for 43. West Indies captain Shai Hope says sweeping the series is a step in the right direction.
We've been playing very good cricket for the last few months, but we challenge the guys every single game, trying to get better, trying to find ways to improve, and it's great to see the guys just putting their hands up every single time.
Shai Hope Jangu is only the second West Indies player behind Desmond Haynes in 78 to score a century on ODI debut, and this was his reaction.
It's an amazing feeling, all the hard work, it's finally paying off. It's a bit surreal right now, it's not really synced in as yet, but yeah, it's amazing. All I wanted to do on debut was just do a McDuck. But luckily, Casey responded and luck was on my side today.
Amir Jangu. Miraz says the bowling unit could have been stronger.
It was a tough day for our bowlers, we did very well, specialists better. We got partnership and specialist Shomo and Mahamudullah and Zakir, they end playing really well, and definitely we could do better the bowling unit, but we couldn't do. But we should bowl in the middle over, we're getting wickets, so definitely that was the problem for us.
Heidi Hassan Miraz. And Cricket West Indies CWI announced the squad for the upcoming 3-match T20 International home series against Bangladesh, which will be held at the Honest Vale Stadium in St. Vincent and the Grenadines from December 15 to 19. The series, which will be the final series for the year on home soil, will see the return of the experienced Johnson Charles, who has been sidelined for the past 2 series due to injury. Additionally, Casey Carty has earned his first T20 international call-up following an impressive Caribbean Premier League season, strengthening the middle order option for the West Indies. The team will be captained by Rovman Powell with Brandon King as vice-captain. Head coach Darren Sammy welcomed the inclusion of Carty, who notched a maiden century against England in November, emphasizing the importance of depth in the batting lineup for a competitive series. Shai Hope and Shafeen Rutherford will not be available for this series as they are fulfilling commitments in the Big Bash League. Akeal Hosein will also miss the final match of the series for similar reasons. The squad was selected with a clear focus on continuity and preparation for the 2026 ICC T20 World Cup. Sammy expressed the importance of closing the year on a high, particularly for fans in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The other members of the squad are Ruston Chase, Justin Greaves, Terrence Hines, Alzaro Joseph, Evan Lewis, Obed McCoy, Gudakesh Moti, Nicholas Puran, Romario Shepard, and Shamar Springer. I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
Avoid walking alone and walk in well-lit areas. If you believe you are being followed, proceed to a crowded area. Stay vigilant and if possible, go to the nearest police station. This Christmas safety tip is brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit accounts puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Jamaica is good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, but we feel safe at night.
Oi there! I can't pick Aki off of my tree. Are you planty? I know that. Come beat me, Cheryl, come beat me. But she I ya sweep up over here when the leaf them nasty up me yard. You know what? I cut this tongue.
Keela, Cheryl, how was that? Wanna stop the quarreling, no man? This no call for in our community. This no sound good, man.
Nobody tell me nothing. You know see how Cheryl tan bad. Me pick 2 little Aki off her tree off of the limb way hang down over my yard. And here she go talk about. She go cut down tree. And that me say, so what?
No bother with no quarrel. No fight. Cheryl, no cut down the tree. Uno live good no people. Uno a big man, you know. And uno a neighbor. The picnic them a friend too. We have to set the example for the picnic them. Live good. Me a beg you no. Do.
A true ya talking a good son. Take a little Aki them killer. Cause for real, the limb really hung over your yard. We are neighbor. Make we start live good.
Aye. I saw it figure man. Live good, me say. Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, but we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good. I better you and I.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
It's the BH Paints Christmas promotion. Tune in to the Design Studio from 1 to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from Phil's Hardware Spanish Town on Saturday, December 14. It's a color event. Get expert advice on how to beautify your space this Christmas when you tune in to Nationwide 90 FM. Decorate and paint like a designer, plus save up to 20% off on all 1 and 5 gallon BH Ultima Plus and Perma paints. So come to Phil's Hardware Spanish Town with Design Studio, Saturday, December 14 from 1 to 3 p.m. It's the BH Paints Christmas promotion. All this and more, only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by BH Paints.
Start your engines and drive out with a brand new car with the ATL Rule the Road promotion.
Wait a minute. Get it how you live.
Kia, BYD, Honda, BMW, Mini, Audi, and VW are coming to Nationwide 90 FM.
Big stepper, underground methods.
6 Bradley Avenue on December 13, 16, and 17 for viewing. Catch the excitement on December 13 during the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. Then catch them again on December 16 and 17 during Cliff Views Online, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Hey man, I want like I'm a
Bring your family, friends, co-workers, and the relatives you haven't talked to in years to Nationwide 90 FM. Men, come for a car for yourself and your lady. You won't get a deal better than this. Can't make it? Tune into the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. on December 13 and Cliffviews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on December 16 and 17. It's the ATL Rule the Road promotion. 6 Bradley Avenue, December 13, 16 and 17. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by ATL Automotive.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:35. It is the 12th of December. We are really getting into the Christmas period. I am Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. As you rightly indicated, Siobhan, Christmas is just around the corner, but it is cover story time. And our cover story is in two parts. Our first part this afternoon, we're looking at that gun find at Kingston Wharves. And the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, has confirmed the seizure of a large cache of guns, gun component parts, and ammunition at the port in Kingston. News of the find first broke on Wednesday. Nationwide News understands that the police intended to have controlled delivery of the shipment in order to trace it to the likely importer. However, those efforts were compromised due to a leak of the information. Dana Davey reports.
In a statement on Thursday, the JCF says the shipment originated from the United States and included 5 barrels declared as containing grocery and clothing items. However, upon inspection, the barrels were found to contain a large quantity of illegal firearms and parts to assemble firearms along with ammunition. They include 3 fully assembled firearms and various component parts such as pistol slides, rifle barrels, and magazines. The JCF says its preliminary assessment indicates that the component parts can assemble an additional 39 pistols and 1 rifle. It says more than 2,800 rounds of assorted ammunition were also discovered among the seized items. The JCF says the seizure resulted from a joint operation between the Firearms and Narcotics Investigation Division, FNID, and the Jamaica Customs Agency's Contraband Enforcement Team. According to the head of FNID, SSP Samuel Blake, the seizure is a significant blow to criminal organizations operating in Jamaica. The JCF says investigations into the seizure are ongoing. It says the FNID continues to work with local and international law enforcement agencies to identify those responsible for the illicit shipment. The latest weapons find is the second largest recovery reported at the Kingston Wharves since the start of the year. On February 16, more than 60 pistols as well as 965 rounds of 9mm ammunition were seized at the wharf. The 64 guns reportedly arrived in the island disassembled. 2 individuals were taken into custody for that seizure. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Dana. Meanwhile, Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang has warned persons involved in trafficking firearms to the island to desist from engaging in transnational organized crime. He says persons who facilitate firearms trafficking will experience the full force of the law. Dr. Chang commended the efforts of the Jamaica Customs Agency, the security forces, and international partners for the recovery of the firearms and ammunition. We will provide you now Dr. Chang's statement in full. Do you want to take the lead, Sanjay?
Certainly, and in the release that was issued this afternoon, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. The Honorable Horace Chang, is commending the collaborative efforts of the Jamaica Customs Agency, the security forces, and international partners for their swift response in the recovery of firearms and several rounds of ammunition yesterday, December 11. 2 assembled firearms with multiple parts and over 2,000 rounds of ammunition were concealed in barrels containing food items, which are customary to be sent to Jamaica during the Christmas season. The Security Minister is strongly advising persons involved in trafficking firearms to Jamaica to desist from engaging in such transnational organized crime.
And he has in quotes here, "I am therefore warning all persons who plan to traffic guns to Jamaica through our ports that we will find them and the persons who facilitate the trafficking, and they will experience the full force of the law," Minister Chang warned. He further added, "I encourage all our Jamaicans overseas to continue supporting your families locally with the customary barrels of goodies at Christmas. It is appreciated. However, do not send guns to Jamaica. You're only putting your family and friends at risk, and you will be caught." The Ministry of National Security supports the National Security Council's efforts in the development of a policy with a focus on strengthening capabilities to detect weapons and other contraband coming into the island through the country's air and seaports. As part of the government's commitment to border security, this policy will aid in bolstering the technology capacity of all agencies with security responsibilities, which the Jamaica Customs Agency is a part of. And that is the statement from Dr. Horace Chang, the Minister of National Security.
Well, we have to commend the authorities, Siobhan. Good work. We've always said that we don't manufacture guns here, so therefore it has to be coming through our ports. And we have to commend the various authorities on this joint up effort to really get the shipment and prevent it from going on our streets.
And it's unfortunate, though, as it was highlighted in this JCF statement, that they intended to track these weapons to their final destination in order to facilitate arrests, only for that information to leak prematurely and upset their operations. That is unfortunate information to hear, because it would be very helpful to know where those weapons were going, and in order to avoid any further requests for such weapons coming in the future.
Yeah, you're correct, because let's be very real about it. These individuals are going to try again to traffic these guns and ammunitions through our ports. So it would have been really good for the authorities to really nab the source. Who is this person who is importing? And maybe it could help them to find out who is the person who is actually sending that shipment to Jamaica, because I'm sure probably it could be part of a broader criminal network.
But as you said, Sanjay, the JCF should be commended in their recent efforts. I believe the billions that the current administration has invested into the constabulary, we are seeing where it is having an impact, not only on the murder rate, but across other areas in terms of intelligence gathering, their response to criminal situations that are in the actual, that are live and happening. These things seem to be getting more and more attention from the JCF, and they seem to be having a much better rate of success in terms of turning over prosecutions, arrests, and charges being laid. So I am actually commending the JCF for what I see is the very rapid improvement in how their capabilities have evolved over the last, let's see, 8 years now.
Yes, you're correct. And I mean, I want to extend it also to agencies such as the Jamaica Customs Agency, because from where they're coming from to where they are now, and the technology that they have received to ensure that they're doing proper scanning at our ports, especially at our seaports, that must be commended. And I'm happy that the Customs Agency is not only focusing squarely on revenue collection, but they have strengthened the border patrol side of things, which is very important. You hear the Prime Minister, Siobhan, speaking a lot about the guns for drug trade. You hear the National Security Minister also speaking to it. And it is good that you're seeing agencies such as Customs working alongside with the police force and FNID, as we heard earlier, to really help to get prevent these guns and ammunition from going on our streets.
See Jam Gran on YouTube saying, so Siobhan, the names and addresses are not on these barrels. And certainly, I'm sure the JCF will be looking into those individuals if they have been so labeled. But I doubt the criminals would be foolish enough to put their own.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
So we have to leave it there, listeners. We have more from the new improved Wildlife Protection and National Resource Conservation Acts after the break in the next half of the cover story.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:44.
Label Crafts Jamaica Limited offers exceptional finishes that will make your product extraordinary at an affordable cost. The Temperature, brought to you by Label Crafts Jamaica Limited. The #1 choice for label printing is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story. As we said, we're now into the second half, where the government is considering significantly increasing penalties for breaches of the Wildlife Protection Act and the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act, that's the NRCA. The amended bills were tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday and proposed to increase the maximum fine to $5 million. This is up from $50,000 in the case of the Wildlife Protection Act and $100,000 under the NRCA.
And the amendments also introduce distinctions between offenses committed by individuals and bodies corporate, with the latter now subject to judgments in the circuit court. The change allows for the imposition of penalties based on the severity of the environmental crime. In addition, the amendments seek to update custodial sentences and modernize the legal framework for environmental management in the country.
Debates on the amended bills are set to begin in January. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, says the amendments are part of the full overhaul of the two acts and an attendant repeal and replacement of the Forest Act. He says the work is expected to be completed early in the financial year, that's 25-26.
And in tandem with the legislative changes, Minister Samuda says the ministry will be reviewing the enforcement capacity of environmental management agencies vested with regulatory authority. This includes the National Environment and Planning Agency, the Forestry Department, and the Water Resources Authority. While joining us to discuss further, we have the CEO of Jamaica Environment Trust, that's JET, Dr. Rodriguez Moody, and we also have environmentalist Peter Espute. Good evening, or good afternoon, I should say, and welcome.
Hi, guys.
All right. Let me start with you, Dr. Moody. How significant are these proposed changes to Jamaica's environmental legislation in your view?
Well, we've been calling for these changes in fines for a long time, and we've been hearing the promise that it will be increased and it will be changed. But it's only part of the solution, right? So you can have higher fines, which is very important, and it can act as a deterrent. But if you're not going to do the other side, the enforcement and the monitoring and actually charging, making sure that they pay the fines, then, it doesn't work. So I think it's very important that we're at this stage. It has taken us a long time to get here, unfortunately, but we're here. And I think it's a good thing, but it's not alone. It is not going to solve the many issues that we have with our environmental regulatory framework.
Peter Espute, I see where the minister says that strengthening of enforcement capacity for NEPA and the Forestry Department also forms part of this review of the two acts. Will both of you be participating in that review? I'm sure it will go to a joint select committee.
Well, I must say that no consultation that I know of has taken place up to this point. I need to see what is actually proposed. You might recall that 10 or 20 years ago, the NRCA did have a corps or a squad of environmental wardens.
where they would go out and do enforcement, and then the government disbanded the Environmental Water Service. And we protested and said, how can you have all of these laws without any body to enforce? You're depending on the police. The police have other things to think about. So now that we hear that there's going to be upgrading of enforcement, that's excellent. But I'm going to hold my applause until I actually hear what it is. But just a comment on the fine issue. The other thing that I saw in the draft amendments that your producer kindly sent to me earlier is that they won't have to go back to Parliament every time they want to increase the fine.
Mm-hmm.
That they have put in the amendment that all they have to do, that the minister can issue an order to increase fines, and all it needs is affirmative resolution. So I think that is as positive a change as any. Instead of having to come back to Parliament and debate and this thing again, the minister can just issue an order and have affirmative resolution, and that I think is a big plus coming out of this thing that was tabled.
Dr. Rodriguez Moody, the matter of enforcement, you just heard Peter Espute speaking about the need to bring back those wardens to ensure that individuals are following the rules. What are some of the other things you think should be implemented to ensure that individuals are following this law when it comes into effect?
Okay, so to go to one of your earlier questions, I just want to indicate, I'm not sure if this is a part of the process, but earlier this year we received a letter from NEPO inviting us to review their draft enforcement and compliance manual. Mm-hmm. And it was identified as an area of interest by many people, and so they were inviting comments. So we did submit our comments some time ago, and I think one of the big issues that we had recommended was that there's a lot of discretion there needs some clarity. There needs to be some guiding principles, and there needs to be clearer instructions at different points in terms of how you deliver enforcement notices, how it's acknowledged, and so forth. There's language that needs improvement. Mm-hmm. And we spoke about just strengthening the areas in terms of, like, for example, roles and responsibilities of environmental officers. That needs to be clearer. How you're going to take legal action, that whole process. So if that is what is being referred to as, improving that consultative mechanism for the enforcement and compliance, then we have submitted some comments. But one of the things that we have also, with respect to, you talk about environmental wardens, I think that's useful, but we also recognize the importance of technology in this day and age. When it comes to things like water pollution, river pollution, we note that it takes a while sometimes for the enforcement officers to go out, collect water, and so forth. So one of the things that we've been suggesting is the use of these automated monitoring systems. And when you when you hear from NEPO, they will indicate that one of the challenges that they have with enforcement is that people don't always necessarily come forward with the who. So they'll see that a river has been polluted. They'll find that this has something has happened in relation to the environment, but it's not always easy, and it could be a reaction time, I'm not sure, to find the person who has caused the problem. So there would have to be some improvements in that area. But the whole complaints mechanism, so for a person making a complaint, you're not going to necessarily get a response. Sometimes you send an email. I mean, I witness, we're copied on many emails where time and time again you send an email and then the response is, well, you tell us how we should fix it. I've seen that response. So, that whole process needs to be fixed as well.
And Dr. Rodriguez Moody, if I'm reading this correctly, I would love your opinion, where it suggests that the individuals and bodies corporate will be treated separately and the latter will now be subject to judgments in the circuit court. Does that mean that the 5 million maximal fine as it relates to body corporates could be well higher than that? Because I can't imagine that 5 million would be enough of a deterrent for a large corporation in terms of an environmental breach.
I'm trying to find that section that you said, but I think it says not exceeding though. But either way, I think it's a much greater improvement than where we were before of the 50,000 and the 100,000. Because we've seen where again these corporations can get off. They plead guilty and they don't even necessarily get the maximum of the 50,000 or the 100,000 fine. So this is a vast improvement, and I'm not sure. I'm not the lawyer here, so I'm not quite sure how far it can go.
Yeah, let me hear you on that same point, Peter Espeut. That new provisions, which is really targeting bodies corporate, are they sufficient to hold companies accountable for environmental damages?
Well, you see, putting it to the circuit court, as you're pointing out, means that the maximum fine can be higher than in the RM courts or whatever they're called now, parish courts. But also, you remember, if an individual pollutes, it's either you pay up or you go to jail. You can't put a corporation in jail. So, therefore, for it to be a real deterrent, as Teresa is saying, you've got to have quite a hefty fine so that they will actually feel it. But yes, the technology is important. I've done a bit of water quality testing in my time. I am a chemist after all. And it's really tedious to go here, you go there, you go there. You have your water quality meter with you, and you take the reading, and and you find a high this, and then you go a little more upstream, and you find it higher, then you go a little higher, and it's not high. So obviously it's in between the two places that you tested, and then it takes quite a bit of detective work. And so I think it's we do need yes, you can have fixed monitoring stations for water quality. You can have that. But you also need to have these traveling detectives with these water quality monitoring devices that can actually pinpoint the location, what we call a point source of the pollution. It requires people on the ground to find the people who are polluting. And that sort of activism, if the government plans to do that, that again would be an extremely positive. But the whole part of this, gentlemen, is not just pre-election talk, and then when election come and gone, we don't hear anything more about it.
But then let me ask you, Peter Espeut, based on what you have said, you've said that enforcement, you feel that needs to be improved and you await to see how and when it will be improved. But based on your read of the legislation, is there anything you feel that is lacking that requires a further strengthening?
Well, all I'm seeing in the amendments are really the fines, and also I noticed it speaks about game wardens and fisheries inspectors. In my life, I've been both a game warden and a fisheries inspector. I've done a lot of patrols. I have arrested people and so on. But what I see in there, it says that if anybody obstructs a game warden or a fisheries inspector, or it says a constable, then that person is also liable. That has not been the case up to now. People can block me and obstruct me, and there's nothing I could do, So I do see that is also a slight improvement. But I must also say that when I hear that there's going to be a revamping of the framework for environmental management, that hasn't started yet. We're talking about how protected areas are declared, how protected areas are managed. You're talking about management plans. You're talking about adherence to management plans. The whole framework for natural resource management is not even begun to be addressed by these amendments that were tabled on Tuesday.
Well, we continue to watch and see what happens. The minister did promise that before the end of the financial year, we should see the bill being tabled. So let's see what happens.
Let me also say something else, if you don't mind.
Yes, certainly. Go ahead.
I don't know if it was on this program or some other program when you had Matthew Semuda online with us. And he said something that shocked me. He said, the NRCA does not fall under my portfolio. But I said, well, I thought you were the minister with responsible. But yes, he's called environment. But NRCA is not under his portfolio. But I gather from this that the NRCA NEPA is now under his portfolio. That has not been made clear before today for me. I don't know if Teresa knew about it. But that's good. It means that Matthew now has under his hand all the agencies that deal with environmental protection. I think that is also a positive step, a step forward.
Yeah. It seems that way to me based on the statement that he made, Peter Espiau. But that's good to
It's
point
not
out
been
also.
made public that is so.
Yes.
So you can break that news.
Yes, we'll definitely follow up on that one. But thank you, Peter Espiau, environmentalist, and also Dr. Teresa Rodriguez Moody, the CEO of Jamaica Environment Trust.
Welcome.
JET. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the
best. Headlines are next, but I'm monitoring the YouTube chat, people, and it's the Christmas season. Try to be civil to each other. If you can't be civil to politicians and others, at least try to be civil to each other. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
A minute after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, has named several persons of interest who are being sought in relation to sexual offences committed in the parish.
The most recent case took place against a 14-year-old female student. The police is seeking one Sebastian McLean, O.C. Sean, 18-year-old, for offences that took place in the Lacovia policing area. He's a person of interest for incest, grievous sexual assault, and the offences were committed between June 2023 and December 2024. Damian Robinson, a Silo address, the person of interest in a case of grievous sexual assault. David Pottinger of a Goshen address, wanted for having sexual intercourse with a person under the age of 16. Paul Smith of Carisbrook is wanted for rape, and that was committed the 9th of May 2019.
Meanwhile, Superintendent Minto says there's been a reduction in other major crimes in St. Elizabeth. As a highlight, he says no murders were recorded for the month of November.
We have to date 218 serious crimes recorded in the parish. This is compared to 334 for the corresponding period in 2023, showing a 116 major crimes less, or 35%. The month of November was a zero murder month. This is actually the first time in 18 months that the parish is experiencing going through a month without having a murder. As of December 11th this year, the division recorded 29 murders when compared to 36 for the similar period last year.
Superintendent Coleridge Minto, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division. A man and a woman have been taken into custody in connection with the death of two 8-year-old boys who perished in a fire on Thursday morning in Westmoreland. The woman is said to be the mother of one of the children and the grandmother of the other. The man, her common-law spouse, was also taken in for questioning. Reacting to the incident, MP for East Westmoreland, Daniel Lawrence, says the community is in a somber mood.
The mood in the area presently, it is a bit tense, sorrowful. People really feel it to the core, the loss of two young lives is really a great loss for the community. And being the member of parliament for that community, it is really heartrending for me. To me, it is really something that we have to pay better attention to in terms of children in house. We need to protect them in a more sincere way to ensure their safety as much as possible. Because losing these two young boys, it is not really easy for the family, for the community, just about for everyone. I think everybody in Jamaica is supposed to feel a loss like this, and I hope this may never happen again.
Daniel Lawrence, Member of Parliament for East Westmoreland. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says education in Jamaica must be reformed in a manner that promotes holistic development.
Education, we have to really completely rethink it. And I feel very strongly about that. When you look at even our children in our primary schools and our prep schools and the exams they have to do at the end, they're stressed. They are, they're parents who choose to take their children out of extracurricular activities so that they'll focus on school, what they consider school. But there's much more to the holistic development of a person. And our educational system has to be geared towards that. And so there is more than just the bookwork and learning your math and your English. We also have to be developing people.
The minister was speaking at a crime prevention through social intervention panel discussion on Thursday. Dr. Dixon highlighted the need for increased focus on students who suffer from trauma.
That many of our children and even our people are suffering from trauma. There's a whole lot of trauma in this country. You see it in the children. When you speak to the children, they're talking about the violence they saw, the gunshots they heard, the violence that's not just in the community but even in the home, and they are carrying that with them and they're coming to school with that. And we have to understand that we need to include in the curriculum ways to deal with that trauma, because it is very unresolved in our country, and a lot of the crime that we see links straight back to us as a people dealing with trauma.
Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education. The sitting of the Clarendon Municipal Corporation ended in chaos on Thursday after councillors representing the PNP renewed their call for JLP Councillor Joel Williams to resign as mayor. This after the PNP's Delroy Dawson regained control of the Annan Town division as a result of winning the November 22 by-election. There were heated exchanges among members from both sides.
We're not doing nothing illegal. We're following the act. We're following the act. We're not doing nothing illegal. So we're following the act. But we're not doing nothing illegal. You can't tell me to where. You can't tell me to where.
I would suggest minority leader, you let good sense prevail. And I say to you, we will take it where it falls.
Mr. Chairman, what does the act states that will happen in the event of a tie?
Dawson defeated the JLP's Suzette Barton by a margin of 54 votes. The result means there is a tie in the Clarendon Municipal Corporation, with the PNP winning the popular vote. The party with the popular vote typically decides who should be selected as mayor. But Mayor Williams previously told our news centre that there is a nuance in the law.
According to the law, that future is secure and safe. The law says you can't remove the mayor once he's appointed. When I became mayor, we were 12-10, and so that holds, even though they would have won their seat. On Friday, the 12-10 situation would have been the one that would have held to make sure that I continue to serve as the mayor. And it is in the law.
Councillor Joel Williams, Mayor of Clarendon. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose, fittings, and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
KFC festive feast for the holidays. Full of power with my friends and my family. KFC bucket of the flavor. Something for everybody, time for we celebrate. 12 piece of chicken so delicious. Fries, biscuits, coleslaw, mashed potatoes. And the Pepsi. Crunch the holiday with KFC. It's the festive feast for you and
Crunch the holidays with the KFC festive feast. 12 pieces of delicious chicken, sides, and a 2-liter Pepsi. Try our new KFC dessert biscuits. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Small business owners, this holiday season, Access Financial Services is here to help you create merry money moments. Need a boost to stock up inventory, expand your business, or prepare for the festive rush? We've got you covered with our small business loans. And here's the best part, no payments for up to 1 month. Fast approvals to keep your business moving. Flexible terms tailored just for you. Let Access Financial be your partner in growth and success this holiday season. Visit accessfinanceonline.com or step into your nearest branch today. Access Financial Services, helping your small business make a big impact this Christmas. Conditions apply.
Start your engines and drive out with a brand new car with the ATL Rule the Road promotion.
Wait a minute, get it how you live.
Kia, BYD, Honda, BMW, Mini, Audi, and VW are coming to Nationwide 90 FM. 6 Bradley Avenue on December 13, 16, and 17 for viewing. Catch the excitement on December 13 during the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. Then catch them again on December 16 and 17 during Cliff Views Online, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Hey man,
Bring your family, friends, co-workers, and the relatives you haven't talked to in years to Nationwide 90 FM. Men, come for a car for yourself and your lady. You won't get a deal better than this. Can't make it? Tune into the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. on December 13 and Cliff Views Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on December 16 and 17. It's the ATL Rule the Road promotion. 6 Bradley Avenue, December 13, 16, and 17. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by ATL Automotive.
Good evening with your sports report. I'm Alrix Raby. We blow things off with some cricket as the West Indies achieved the highest run chase in the history of One Day International at Warner Park as they beat Bangladesh by 4 wickets on Thursday to complete a sweep of their 3-match series. Trinidad and Tobago's 27-year-old Amir Jangu slammed an undefeated century on debut to lead the victory charge. Jangu belted 6 fours and 4 sixes in an undefeated 104 to steer the Windies to 325 for 6 in 45.5 overs after they were set to 322 to win. Jangu shared in a 132-run 5th wicket stand with Casey Carty, who made 95. Gudakesh Moti 44 not out and Shafin Rutherford 30 also scored well. Earlier, Mamadou crashed 84. Captain Heidi Hassan Miraz 77 and Sumaya Sharjah 73 to lead the Bangladesh batting against Alzara Joseph 2 for 43. West Indies captain Shea Hope says sweeping the series is a step in the right direction.
We've been playing very good cricket for the last few months, but we challenge the guys every single game, trying to get better, trying to find ways to improve, and it's great to see the guys just putting their hands up every single time.
Shea Hope. Jangu is only the second West Indies player behind Desmond Haynes in 1978 to score a century on ODI debut, and this was his reaction.
It's an amazing feeling, all the hard work, it's finally paying off. It's a bit surreal right now, it's not really synced in as yet, but yeah, it's amazing. All I wanted to do on debut was just to make duck. But luckily, Casey responded and luck was on my side today.
Amir Jangu. Miraz says the bowling unit could have been stronger.
It was a tough day for our bowlers. We did very well. Specialist better. We got partnership and specialist Shomo and Mahamudullah and Jakir. They end playing really well, and definitely we could do better the bowling unit, but we couldn't do. But we should bowl in the middle over. We're getting wickets, so definitely that was the problem for us.
Hidi Hassan Miraz. Cricket West Indies CWI announced the squad for the upcoming 3-match T20 International Home Series against Bangladesh, which will be held at the Arnesville Stadium in St. Vincent and the Grenadines from December 15 to 19. The series, which will be the final series for the year on home soil, will see the return of the experienced Johnson Charles, who has been sidelined for the past 2 series due to injury. Additionally, Casey Carty has earned his first T20 international call-up following an impressive Caribbean Premier League season, strengthening the middle order option for the West Indies. The team will be captained by Rovman Powell, with Brandon King as vice-captain. Head coach Darren Sammy welcomed the inclusion of Carty, who notched a maiden century against England in November, emphasizing the importance of depth in the batting lineup for a competitive series. Shea Hope and Shafin Rutherford will not be available for this series as they are fulfilling commitments in the Big Bash League. Akeal Hussain will also miss the final match of the series for similar reasons. The squad was selected with a clear focus of continuity and preparation for the 2026 ICC T20 World Cup. Sammy expressed the importance of closing the year on a high, particularly for fans in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The other members of the squad are Ruston Chase, Justin Greaves, Terence Hines, Alzira Joseph, Evan Lewis, Obed McCoy, Gudakesh Moti, Nicholas Puran, Romaria Shepherd, and Shamar Springer. Now to football. Jamaica's national under-20 women's football team will travel to Trinidad and Tobago to take part in the Four Nation Jewels of the Caribbean Invitational Tournament from December 15 to 20. The tournament, which is in its 3rd edition, also features 2 teams from host Trinidad and Tobago, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The young Reggae Girls will kick off the tournament against St. Vincent and the Grenadines on the 15th. They'll play Dominica a day later before facing TNT White Angels on the 17th, before closing out the first round against TNT Red Angels on the 19th. The girls are using the tournament as part of their preparation for the CONCACAF Under-20 qualifiers from February 20 to 25. The Jamaicans are drawn in Group D with Nicaragua, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Samari Cousins scored a double to help Glenmuir to a 3-0 win over Garvey Marcia in the semi-final of the Rural Issa Burger King Under-14 football competition today. Tristan Francis was the other goal scorer. Meanwhile, in the Issa Mighty Malt Under-16 semi-final, Mannings beat Stets 2-1 and Clarendon College beat Monroe College 4-1. Coach of Kingston College, Vassar Reynolds, says they want to complete the schoolboy football double when they take on Garvey Marcia in the Olivia Shield final at the Stets Field on Saturday. Garvey Marcia will go in hunt of their first All-Ireland title, while Casey hopes to secure their 11th All-Under trophy. The North Street-based institution are the Manning Cup champions, but Reynolds says the job is not yet over.
We just need to refocus, and we just need to remind the team that this is bragging rights at schoolboy football, and we're taking it very serious, and we want to lift that trophy, so we're very interested in that Oliver Shield come Saturday.
He says they don't expect to be surprised by Garvey Marcia.
We are prepared for all the eventualities, and we'll have to
Vassal Reynolds. And finally in boxing, Chris Eubanks Jr. has agreed in terms to fight Conor Benn as the British grudge match takes a step closer to finally being made. Benn's promoter, Eddie Hearn, said this week that Ben was 50-50 between accepting a fight against Eubanks Jr. or fighting the WBC welterweight world champion Mario Barrios. But boxer promoter Ben Shalom has now revealed Eubanks Jr. is willing to fight Ben as long as he retains the majority of the purse split. I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612 to 5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Mazda is bringing the magic this Christmas. Get a 2-year service package, 1 year free insurance, license, registration, and free window tinting, plus 3 months of payments on us. But hurry, deal ends December 31. Conditions apply. Mazda, more style, more value, more smiles per mile.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Plug into the sun with Peak Energy Solutions. We are your affordable provider for everything solar. Grid tie or off-grid solar P systems, solar air conditioners, panels, lithium batteries, solar supplies, and installation. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hills, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you for tuning in. It's almost the weekend. This is what you call Friday Eve. Is it? Or something like so. Yeah. Those of you who are on our YouTube, we ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. And it's been a year of challenges, triumphs, and unforgettable moments. From groundbreaking achievements in sports, culture, to impactful contributions in governance, education, community building, We Jamaicans, whether at home or abroad, we have made our mark. But who? We want to know who stands out above the rest. Is it a leader who inspired change, an artist who represented us on the global stage, or an ordinary citizen? So in Public Opinion this evening, as the year draws to its end, we're asking, who's the person of the year in Jamaica for 2024? Who's your person for the year? That's what we're asking you this evening in Public Opinion. And I'll go right ahead with the comments on our social media platform on Facebook. Original Boss Lady is saying, Caribbean trending, most hardworking, Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, hands down. Yeah? For Cheryl Griffiths, it's Dr. Andrew Holness, she says, and Dr. Nigel Clark. Yeah? Jamaica Snapshot is also saying Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He went ahead to say he has been through high and hell water, but still remain focused. Beverly Barrett is also saying Andrew Michael Holness. He was able to dwell even though the odds against him. Okay. He was able to do well, rather, even though the odds were against him. Yeah. Elorita Mitchell is also saying Andrew Holness. Let me see if I can get in a few more Philip Kidd is saying, bro God. All right, let me see if I can get in a few more. Clifton Ricardo Russell is saying Marky G because of British Saga. Yeah. Audley Philip is saying, some would argue it's Vybz Kartel to have beaten the rap and having already spent many years in jail and to be out now and seemingly the hottest thing since sliced bread. Many would give him that connotation. And I agree somewhat with you, Audley Philip. I do agree with you. Romeo is saying, bro God, of course. The PM is coming from Ian G. Campbell, the PM and second place organization, the JCF. Yeah. For Fabian Smith, the person of the year, well, persons are Wally Pasmadi, according to Fabian Smith, the Prime Minister, Mrs. Shields, the NNN family. We get big up. Would you look at that? Yeah. Marjorie Faces saying Mark Golding is her person of the year. Yeah. Jamaica Mandy saying Vybz Kartel is her person of the year. Bowen Clarence is saying that Dr. Nigel Clark with his international appointment serving the world. Yeah? And I'm seeing more than a dozen comments here saying that Andrew Michael Holness is the person of the year for 2024. Yeah? Let me switch and go on over to our Instagram platform where over there too, Boss Lady, Faye Bliss, Jamaican Snapshot, Shansley is saying Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Delani is saying Nigel Clark or Andrew Holness. For Miss Gemini, civil servants are the people of the year. Yeah? All right. Willie Ryan Wilson is saying Mark Golding is his person of the year for 2024. All right, this is a new one, and I can definitely agree to this one. Buri is saying all the teachers who are still in Jamaican classrooms. All the teachers still in Jamaican classrooms. And we have to shout out to the teachers. Yeah? Giving our future leaders education. The teachers. Yeah? Danga is saying L.A. Lewis. Call Me Misha is saying Derek Morgan. Yeah? Jay Humble saying Adija Palmer. I'm seeing Chin Nature Girl saying Terry Carell. And she's also saying Crystal Tomlinson. Yeah. Sasha saying that she would say that Nigel Clark, but he's no longer here. So the Prime Minister Andrew Holness. John Mary saying Vybz Kartel's lawyer. Yeah, which is Isaac Buchanan. Warrior Kid also saying Terry Carell. Let me see if I can get in a few more on our X platform. We have here coming from, let me see if I can get, oh my, it freeze. All right, let's go on over to our YouTube platform. Who's the person of the year in Jamaica for you for 2024? The year is coming to an end and we want to know who stand out. Who stand out? Robert McKenzie on our YouTube saying Cliff Hughes. Yeah, Cliff Hughes getting a shout out right there. Lil Miss R saying Wholeness. Cabby is saying Khadija Bunny Shaw is the person of the year. Yeah. I'm seeing Dr. Wholeness, Dr. Andrew Wholeness. Sharon Bless is asking me what kind of agreement. Guys, it's public opinion, the opinion of people. So if my opinion may not be your opinion, and it may very well not be anybody's opinion, but it's my opinion. And if I say that I think I agree to a certain extent that Vybz Kartel may very well be one of the person of the year, that's just my opinion. I'm entitled to it. Glaister Hall is saying Mr. Cliff Hughes. Let me see if I can get in some more. Michael Clark is saying the Prime Minister and Nigel Clark. Gillian Marston is saying Dr. Andrew Holness. Max Romy is saying George Davis, greatest journalist. Yeah? So George Davis, anyway, you had to big up yourself because what? Max Romy is saying that hands down, you are the person of the year for 2024. Marcus the Best say you, which it mean me. Big up me. Big up me. Me are the person of the year for Marcus the Best. I appreciate that. CB said me, myself, and I. Yeah. Ball with Black Star is saying Justice Panton is the person of the year. All right. Radley believes that Cliff Hughes is the newsmaker of the year when he called the election in the local government election. All right, I see you. Robert McKenzie also saying Cliff Hughes. Let me see if I can go down and scroll. Jaleel Curlew is saying Ricardo Brooks. Master Jem is saying Bonnie Shaw. Let me see if I can get J.A. Andres also saying George Davis is the best journalist around. Robert McKenzie. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, standing statement like above all the adversity. Okay, but that's coming from Barbara Thompson. Jaleel, I said Ricardo Brooks. Yeah. Dennis Barnaby, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm the person of the year for you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, to each his own. Because what? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Me see some people in the comments are question me. Custis Brown says, I am the person of the year. Big up yourself, Custis Brown. Robert McKenzie saying, Miss Kitty. Father Perry said, Isaac Buchanan is the person of the year. Yeah? CJ Martinez, you are your person of the year. Yeah? Tam is saying that Dr. Clark, excellent finance management of the Jamaican economy. Andrea Dunk, PM Dr. Andrew Holness and Dr. Nigel Clark cannot break the tie. Yeah? I saw Mario is saying, I think Vibes Cartel will take it. SH, which by your comment, SH? Let me see if I can scroll up. All right. SH is saying, at least the previous PM, Golding can tell us he went to school with Mr. Russell, who recently died. Until now, Mark cannot name anyone he went to school with. SH, what kind of comment that? SH, where's your comment? I'm not seeing it pertaining to the question being asked. Who is the person of the year? Yeah? Let me see if I can get Carlene Heslop say Cliff Hughes online. Cliff Hughes. Yeah? Precious Soul is saying her son. Your son. Andrea Henry, big up yourself. Listen, I feel so blessed and honored to be some people, to be the person of the year for some of you. I appreciate that. Big up yourself, Andrea Henry. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Arlene Rowe is saying, I am not some person. Arlene Rowe, you have a name? Arlene Rowe is the name. Sure. Yeah? Fertis Bartley is saying, you can say Dr. Andrew Holness, Nigel Clark. Okay, so Dr. Andrew Holness is 1. Nigel is 2. 3rd, Cartel. And 4, George Governor Davis. All right. Okay. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Charles is saying the PM, of course, hard-working man. Let me see if I can get some more. Cindy saying the amount of storm he went through, it's definitely the Prime Minister. Pamela is saying that Andrew Holness is to the world. Okay. Who is your person for 2024? Huh? Who is your person for 2024? Sharon is saying wrong agreement. You can't agree with everything. I don't agree with everything, but I have my say too, I have my say. And as though I respect yours, respect mine. It's to each his own. It's the court of public opinion and your views matter. We're asking you who's the person of the year for you. 2024 is drawing closer to an end. Desnem, where is your comment? You see, you have to bear with me now, because when everybody is sending them comment, there's something, I'm not going to say everybody comment, so you have to bear with me. Y'all got to bear with me. Yeah? Let me see. Robert Mackenzie says, Betsy is me. Whoa, Robert. You may run up into that one. Primrose says, Dr. Andrew Holness win. Delroy believes that Cartel is Mr. Nobody. All right. Let me see. Isleta is saying the Honorable Falls doctor at the Spanish Town Hospital. Then you can imagine that when I saw that story, I was like, what? It was a prank? Oh, boy. Patrick Samuels is saying Dr. Andrew Holness. Yeah. Arlene Rowe, I did not skip over your comment. like I said before, bear with me because what? The comments coming in. The comments are coming in and I have two eyes, despite the fact that I wear glasses. Let me see. Dory saying, bro God. Nigel Clark. Let me see. J. Andrea Cliff don't have to give me no talk because Cliff respect my views, yeah? Little Miss is saying the event of the year is Andrew Holness versus IC. Yeah. Marjorie Roach is saying Mrs. Juliet Holness, she keeps Andrew going. Like batteries, like pure cell batteries. Okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Samantha Gordon says Andrew Holness, better leader by far. All right, a whole lot of comments coming in, and I have to say that we've seen a lot of Andrew Michael Holness. Yeah. Isa Mario is saying Beryl. Yeah, Beryl is one of the highlights of the year. Crystal Clark is saying that Usain Bolt, resilient, man stress, I'll know nothing about his money. Yeah. Grounded on the tarmac, I see your comment. I didn't see your previous comment, but I just saw yours. Brick Road, I saw it have to go sometime, yeah? Sharon Bless is saying Holness, Fuss, and then Nigel, full stop. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. Guess what? You have the option of agreeing and or disagreeing. So if you don't like my opinion, I saw it go. And it's your opinion and I respect it. Thank you guys so much. The Business Report is up next. Stay tuned.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. As of September 2024, the number of automated banking machines, ABMs, installed across the country was 899. This is up from 871 at the end of September 2023. The figures were provided by Deputy Governor with responsibility for the Financial Institutions Supervisory Division at the Bank of Jamaica, Dr. G.D. Lewis. He was addressing a standing Finance Committee meeting at Gordon House on Tuesday. Now, Dr. Lewis said the 28 additional machines is a result of the service level standards for ABMs implemented by the BOJ in April 2024. He said the central bank has been tracking the performance of each deposit-taking institution monthly and publishes those reports both on its website and in the two major newspapers. Further afield, Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, has donated $1 million to an inauguration fund for President-elect Donald Trump. The tech giant's boss, Mark Zuckerberg, dined with Trump at his Mar-a-Lago resort in November, having sought to repair his and his firm's relationship with Trump following the election. Trump previously was highly critical of Mr. Zuckerberg and Facebook, calling the platform anti-Trump. In 2017, the company confirmed its $1 million donation to the inaugural fund to several outlets on Wednesday. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 96 cents to buy $1 US, 199 Jamaican dollars and 64 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 110 Jamaican dollars and 84 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited are authorized distributors of international brands ABB, Omron, STC, Festo, and Thomas & Betts. They supply programmable logic controllers, photoelectric and proximity sensors, contactors and soft starters, power supplies, variable frequency drives, and much more. Visit them at 24 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston, or shop 32 Overton Plaza, 46 Union Street, Montego Bay, or visit their website cleasling.net. Cleasing Industrial Supplies for all your industrial automation and control solutions. Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Start your engines and drive out with a brand new car with the ATL Rule the Road promotion.
Wait a minute, get it how you live.
Kia, BYD, Honda, BMW, Mini, Audi, and VW are coming to Nationwide 90 FM.
Big stepper, underground methods.
6 Bradley Avenue on December 13, 16, and 17 for viewing. Catch the excitement on December 13 during the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. Then catch them again on December 16 and 17 during Cliff Views Online, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Hey man, I want up your like I'm a kid.
Bring your family, friends, co-workers, and the relatives you haven't talked to in years to Nationwide 90 FM. Men, come for a car for yourself and your lady. You won't get a deal better than this. Can't make it? Tune into the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. on December 13 and the Cliff Views Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on December 16 and 17. It's the ATL Rule the Road promotion. 6 Bradley Avenue, December 13, 16, and 17. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by ATL Automotive.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. It's 6:41 and it is time for the Nation's Business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, and our focus for the Nation's Business is that lecture given by Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, at the Michael Manley Centenary. And that's because the Prime Minister of Barbados, that's Mia Mottley, has lauded former Prime Minister Michael Manley, acknowledging him as one of her earliest mentors. She was delivering the keynote address at the Michael Manley Centenary Lecture at the Little Theatre in Kingston on Tuesday. Mia Mottley fondly recalled time spent with Mr. Manley as a teenager.
5 years ago, in 2020, I had the same privilege of doing that for Errol Walton Barrow, who, in spite of belonging to a different political party from the one that I lead, was among those great Caribbean, and in my case, Barbadian builders, father of independence, along with persons like Grantley Adams and Norman Washington Manley, and Tom Adams, who helped lay the foundation in our own case for a modern economy, and of course, Owen Arthur, who continued to lecture us week by week in Cabinet about the benefits and the legacy of Michael Manley for 14 years. But you may be forgiven to believe that that might be the reason why I'm here alone. The truth is that as a very young child, in fact in first form, I first got my first set of, I almost say bullying, from the sixth formers in Queen's College, from sitting on the sixth form veranda. I had the audacity to do so. But I was walking with a book, and they pulled the book from me to see what I was reading. and disappointed that it was not Mills and Boons or Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew, they then continued to rail me because the book was The Politics of Change by Michael Manley. I did not touch it again as a whole book until last Thursday and reread it. And throughout this afternoon, we'll continue to reflect and better understand as an adult how much of what I came to represent and believe in was effectively shaped in those very early years in understanding the writings and the beliefs of Michael Manley. But there is one other story that I will share before getting into the meat of the occasion. Because in one's life, you remember when you have to wear a cast, especially when you have to wear it for 6 weeks. And in my life, I have worn a cast only once on my left leg, knee down to ankle. And one morning, when I was about 16 or so, Errol Barrow called and said, "Tell your mother and your father, don't cook tonight. I'm bringing Michael and I'm coming." And I said, "Sure." And I said, "But by the way, let it be early because for the first time we're launching jazz at the Waterfront Cafe. And it is my first foray in managing the band down there with Arturo, who you now know as Arturo Tappin, and Nicholas Branca of Grammy fame. So I would like both of you to come." And he said yes. During the course of the evening, Michael put his drink behind him, and the dog was making for it. And I felt I had a duty to defend the honor of the house and not let the dog drink from his glass. Little did I know that coral stone with moss on it can be very slippery, and my ankle went right under. But I was so intent, one, on securing the band being able to play again at the Waterfront, and equally, to be able to say that two former prime ministers would have enjoyed what I'm sure they would have enjoyed had they gone to see it, that I insisted on ignoring the pain and going to carry Michael Manley and Errol Barrow to hear jazz. The next morning, the foot was twice as big. And the lesson really is that I paid a huge, huge price for wanting to be able to share in the aura of two great Caribbean men on that night. I give you these few jokes and stories because, in a very real sense, you cannot talk about Michael Manley and his politics without appreciating Michael Manley and the man, and his utter and absolute charm and ability to make even me as a young teenager feel that there was purpose in all that we were doing, but that equally that there was a larger mission which embraced us all as Caribbean people. I would later spend many hours next to him at Brandon's Tennis when he would come to Barbados, and I would usually be the one there next to them watching tennis at Paradise on that occasion.
That is Prime Minister Mia Mottley reminiscing about her time with our former Prime Minister Michael Manley. The occasion was to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Mr. Manley. Ms. Mottley hailed the former Prime Minister for reversing aspects of legislation to give citizens greater freedom.
I am honored because when, and I hope that many of you who have not read it will still read it, pick up this seminal work, with the exception of maybe one chapter, the contents of this book remain as relevant today as they were when the book was written almost 50 years ago. And I'm conscious that in this book, you understand fully why the word is love came to represent so much of the policies and programs identified in a philosophy that saw people, that heard people, and that felt people. I am not the one to give you a historical treatise on all of the achievements of Michael Manley. But suffice it to say that in this small Caribbean, there are some things that stand out, if only because for too much of our history, our parliament was used as an instrument of oppression rather than a tool of enfranchisement and empowerment. That we have not even yet reached 100 years of being able to be firm craftsmen of our fate speaks volumes. But that we have, in this short period of time, been able to reverse aspects of our legislation that literally choked us and denied us the dignity of agency and the dignity of our humanity is a major, major accomplishment. In our case, it cut across many leaders. In yours, it did. But some of these things stand out purely because of the majesty of the legislative transformation and the social transformation. The repealing of the Master and Servants Act, an iniquitous piece of legislation that sought to bind us in as close to bonds of slavery without slavery being legal. The establishment of a national minimum wage, something that eluded many, many countries for many, many decades before you established it here. Maternity leave with pay, which we actually did slightly before you, but Michael Manley made sure that you did it. Gender equity and pay scales. Other laws, as we heard tonight, that outlawed bastardy, as we did too, around the same time. A law that established your National Housing Trust, I'm told, that transformed the fate of so many of your citizens. But it is not simply in the announcement and the passage and the recitation of these policies that it matters. It is also in the essence of the man, believing that fundamental to the building of a society is the dignity to be accorded to each and every citizen, to see, hear, and feel each and every citizen. And we take this sometimes for granted because the world in which we live doesn't even admit of it. Countries that are large sometimes don't see or feel small countries. The reality is that it is a rare, rare virtue. And for the last 6 years, I started to reflect on how much the world looked like 100 years ago. And that in truth and in fact, we are in the throes of an inflection point, a historic movement that really, really, today, causes us to have to pause. And the danger is that we might be at risk of being distracted from the fundamental things that truly make a difference to our planet and to our people, and by extension, to our Caribbean civilization. The reality is that what we are witnessing, in my view, is really the dying of an old order without yet seeing where the new order will be located and how it will be framed.
That's the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. And Prime Minister Mottley spent a significant portion of her time addressing the issue of climate change. Quoting notes from the late Italian politician Antonio Gramsci, Ms. Mottley referred to the monster of climate change wreaking havoc on small island developing states, the SIDS.
The Italian philosopher Antonio Gramsci wrote in his famous prison notebooks, and I quote, "The old world is dying, and the new world struggles to be born. Now is the time of monsters," unquote. And what are those monsters today? Is it the climate crisis? I don't refer to it as climate change because there's nothing about change in the crisis that we face. It is a season of superlatives, and it's the season of the unexpected. We see it from the droughts, to the floods, to the hurricanes, to the sargassum seaweed, to so many other things that are so unrealistic. I'm accustomed to convection rain here in Kingston, not in Bridgetown. For the last 2 years, we experienced that from August to December, almost 5 days a week. While at the same time, for the first 6 months of last year, we had less than 50% rainfall of the average 30 years that went before, in the same year. The monsters are the pandemics. And we acknowledge that with the increased heat, we are likely to see new pathogens develop, and by extension, new pandemics are likely to emerge. But even as we speak, separate from that, our abuse of antibiotics, antimicrobials, has led to an extraordinary level of antimicrobial resistance that now makes that responsible for the third highest number of deaths directly and indirectly in the world, and by 2050, it shall be responsible for the highest volume of deaths in the world, reversing a century of medical progress and making simple things like going to the dentist or going in the garden or having a baby risky things if you get an infection. We have seen environmental degradation generally, but in particular degradation of our soils. And there is the belief that it will considerably impact the already threatened food security that we have as a result of the impact of climate itself. But soil degradation in and of itself will make it worse. We are seeing the collapse of ecosystems and the collapse of and further loss of biodiversity. Things that we were accustomed to seeing are finding themselves removed from our environment. And at the same time, globally, we have 35 million people, refugees, across the world, fleeing wars, violence, persecution, and abject poverty, right here in our own region to across the world. The world itself is a dangerous place to be. The 1st of December, France had a government, as did Syria. Today, the 10th of December, both have been gone for a few days, one by law and one by force. We are at an interesting point. We hear of the movement against incumbents more than anything else. Some of it expresses itself in right-wing populism, some of it in the UK, left of center. But in both instances, it's an anti-incumbent move, largely because much of what people have had to experience in this polycrisis moment in the last 5 years has made life difficult for most and perplexing for all. The spectacle of fake news and the inability to control a narrative to build a nation, where broadcasting used to be the order of the day and now narrowcasting and echo chambers replace it. We have more than ever to determine what does love look like in this, the third decade of the 21st century.
That is Prime Minister Mia Mottley. She also says small island developing states, in particular Caribbean countries, are often the first victims of the consequences of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution refers to the change from an agricultural and handicraft economy to one dominated by machine manufacturing. This change took place beginning in the late 18th century and ended in the mid-19th century, starting in the United Kingdom.
The nature of the world in which we live today, where the powers that influence and the information that is generated goes way beyond the nation state. And to that extent, on this day of International Human Rights Day, one asks yourself, what will that new world order look like? And what will truly be the power of nation states? Will small states be able to survive without deep functional cooperation and pooling? Or will they become collateral victims as the world seeks to line up behind great powers yet again, particularly if the multilateral rules-based system that we have is not allowed to work for us? I say to you that it is critical that we not be sucked in to the bankruptcy of the current global world order. And if we go back to what love was for Michael Manley, and I'm amazed at the extent to which even the language used foretold the times in which we come to live in. There is no doubt that we are in a race against time, and those who doubt it will fail to prepare. And that, for us, means that we recognize that love fundamentally is about caring, seeing, hearing, and feeling. Fundamentally is about resilience, a word that Michael used more ahead of his time than most. And love is about transformation. We have taken long to do some of these things, not because of laziness, but because of the complexity of the root system that has caused us to be victims of another order that effectively took away from us identity and movement. And I dare say that so fundamental is the human resistance against that type of activity that I really believe that that is one of the reasons for the strong anti-incumbent movement globally, coming after 2 to 3 years of restricted movement and increased cost of living, where persons are trying to recoup losses in the shortest possible time from a pandemic, that has caused people to say, hey, you didn't see me for a few years, but watch me now, here. And if you don't realize here, I'm going to show you that here. And we've seen it country by country by country by country. But if we come to understanding what that race to become resilient must look like, it is being thrown at us more than ever through the climate crisis. And that is why, in a very real sense, the global south, in its victimhood, has a renewed sense of solidarity, because we all know that we didn't cause the problem, and that in fact we are now bearing double jeopardy, because having been the beast of burden to enrich those who built the Industrial Revolution, we are now the first victims on the front line to the consequences of the Industrial Revolution in terms of greenhouse warming. And that solidarity is not in a vacuum, because at the same time that we seek to save ourselves from the climate crisis, you're asking us to divert critical capacity and financing away from the noble objectives of development as best captured in the Sustainable Development Goals. It is not on. And we can no longer move in one direction to fight climate then we can move in the other direction alone to fight development and ignore climate. We must walk and chew. And it is a false dichotomy to ask people to choose between people and planet. The foreign policy, therefore, that we have has first and foremost today to reinforce that effort that Michael Manley brought to bear in bringing unity among the global south, the former colonies, to be able to define a policy and fiscal space that was sufficiently large to pursue the policies that would empower and enrich our people and accord to them the dignity that has always been theirs but was robbed because of the iniquitous institutions of slavery and colonialism and imperialism.
And that's Prime Minister Mia Mottley. And Ms. Mottley told patrons at the Little Theatre that small island developing states are caught between financing their development with the fossil fuel industry, while at the same time trying to save the environment.
We have, at this point, to recognize that that common purpose, and I have the honor to lead now the climate vulnerable countries of the world, otherwise known as the V20 group, which now embraces 70 countries from across Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean and Latin America. Recognizing that our common purpose in fighting the battles against the climate crisis and finding the financing necessary to secure our way, and also conscious of the pathogens that may develop, because health can immediately trump anything if a pandemic hits us in the way that the last one did. These countries are no more different from the countries Michael Manley dealt with 50 years ago, but with few voices listening and few countries feeling. Mark Golden spoke earlier, and Prime Minister Patterson, about some of the common challenges. And the truth is that as we speak, we might have been the canaries in the mine, but the climate crisis has now literally crept in to the reality of the lives of those in the global north. Whether it is the wildfires in California and Canada and Europe, or it is the floods or the hurricanes, there is no part of Earth that is being exempt from it. And if we don't recognize that our primary purpose and gaze must be to fight this battle unless some people have a plan to live on Mars that we don't know about, then we will lose the battle. The reality is that there are diverging views, and we must take the world as we find it, not as we dream for. And if we are to do so, and I don't normally disagree with Prime Minister Patterson, I'm not trying to school the President-elect, but I'm conscious that while we may disagree as to the causes of the climate, we cannot disagree as to the reality of disaster. And in a very real sense, our love of planet requires of us to have mature conversations that may respect the differences of what brings us to each point, but to find the commonalities for progress to be achieved, because the climate crisis is not waiting on any of us as it unleashes its furor on the world. Against that backdrop, I have said recently and repeat that if there is a way to warp size the research for the commercial application of decarbonizing technology on the fossil fuel industry, bring it on. Because that's what we need.
and I don't say so tongue-in-cheek, because I'm conscious that there are many countries in the Caribbean now and in Africa whose capacity to finance their development was premised and may still be premised on the fossil fuel industries. But the reality is that if we want that to help be part of the equation, then we need to make sure that the technology that will decarbonize the emissions is in fact applied at commercial scale. And there are aspects of it out there, just not yet rigorous enough. And in the same way that we saw the warp speed with the vaccine research in the pandemic, that is the kind of approach that we now need with respect to the technology. Similarly, we need a global agreement on methane. Methane has 80 times the negative consequences of carbon. Carbon, however, stays in the atmosphere for hundreds of years, whereas methane originally and by itself, will leave after 12 years. How do we do it? Every time a company flares gas, it is losing money and it is hurting the atmosphere. Every time you fail to fix a gas leak in your pipelines, you are doing the same. So let us have an agreement. Make more money by stopping the flaring and fixing the leaks, and at the same time save the atmosphere and the environment from the negative impact of methane gas. Change the manner in which we pursue livestock farming and rice paddy farming, as is beginning to happen. And let us find new practices to inform waste management in our various countries. The reality is that if we do that, the scientists tell us we can actually reverse the temperature by 0.5 degree, rather than seeing the continued forging onward.
That is Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. She was delivering the keynote address at the Michael Manley Centenary Lecture at the Little Theatre in Kingston on Tuesday. An interesting thing, she ended on noting the reliance on fossil fuels, and it reminded me of the OUR's annual report I just read through over the last week. And in it, it made reference to the fact that while we have swapped out mostly using heavy fuel oils for liquid natural gas, OER makes note that what we've essentially done is swapped one fossil fuel for another fossil fuel, and that the push and thrust for renewables seems to have slowed down over the last few years, noting that they've become kind of unreliable. There's issues with the wind farms not producing enough energy, and solar seems to have also lagged behind. And the OUR is noting that there seems to be a need to improve or push towards renewable energy, because what we've done is swap one reliance for another reliance without really making any major adjustments. And I find it interesting to see that now playing out in Mia's lecture there at the Little Theatre on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a good point, Siobhan, that you made. I think that they are indeed, NEPA is spot on that analysis. And as we also know, Mia Mottley, she has been very big on this matter of climate change, and how could we remember that wonderful speech that she gave, what is it, COP24, I think it was?
Yes.
On this matter of climate change, and she has been very consistent on it, which I'm not surprised at all based on this speech. And just listening to the entire speech, this speech is really good, touching on some of the issues within the Caribbean, and also, her love for Michael Manley and the things and how he contributed to her development as an individual and as a lawyer that she is now and Prime Minister of Barbados.
And it's a credit to Mia Mottley. She's really pushed for this matter of climate change. But I always wonder, when you see countries like Guyana and what they have struck rich in terms of oil, how do you tell a country like that they should abandon that push towards a more sustainable and renewable future when you realize that they're now reaping the benefits of what a lot of nations such as the United Kingdom, as she pointed out, the United States, China still, and other well-developed nations benefited from years, decades of overabundance and overuse. And we're going to tell countries like Guyana, no, you need to kind of shelve that and move towards another direction.
We can't. And it would be unfair, Siobhan, to tell Guyana that they shouldn't reap the benefits of the fact that they have struck oil. So while I understand the need and the importance of climate change and, renewable energy, you can't tell a country like Guyana, most of us, which forms part of the small island developing states, that we need to shelve that idea. Absolutely not.
I mean, what about our own ambitions? Remember, we are currently drilling on our shores for oil as well. What if Jamaica, and I hope it works out that way, strikes oil and we're going to say, no, we can't use this because, well, we're moving to this renewable push and we need... No. A nation has to utilize the resources it has available to it. And oftentimes, I find the argument so lopsided. We have countries like the United States that have reinvigorated their fracking. You have countries like China who are very reliant on coal and oil and gas to boost their economy. And these are the same nations telling us that, no, renewables, we must push for the renewables. And I've always found that very lopsided, hypocritical argument just silly.
Let us face it, Siobhan, regardless of anything that me want to say or anyone else in this world, any country that they have oil, they are going to utilize it because you want to ensure that you're providing for your nation, your people, and also those outside of your country to make money. Look at the countries that have oil and how they have done well. You look at the Middle Eastern countries and how they are rich because of the oil and in some instances the gold that they have found. So while I understand, as I said, the point that Mia has brought forward, we can't be hypocritical, Siobhan, and we have to accept the fact that if any of us any country should find oil, we're going to utilize it to our benefit.
Precisely. Well, it's time for the break, listeners, and we come back with your calls. The numbers are 630-937124 and 618-8255.
Payroll made simple and secure. Get automated with BizPay, an integrated payroll and HR solution powered by MC Systems. Contact them today. The time by MC Systems is
7:16.
The most spectacular year-end sale is back at IQ Optical. Get up to 75% on optical frames and sunglasses in December. Conditions apply.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We are having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also tune into the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app, then select one of 3 affordable third-party options. The time by GK General Insurance is
17 minutes past 7. Welcome back, listeners. It is 7:18 and we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. I understand we have Willow on the line. Good evening.
Good evening, Shaman.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, man, I'm used to this evening and a half a China.
I was wondering. I recognize the voice.
Yeah, man. So, all things.
Doing quite well. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm good enough because I'm a park. I'm going to make sure I go to look walking after I park the car because driving all day.
Yeah, I can understand. So tell me, Willow, how is the taxi business going nowadays, actually?
Well, you're not too bad enough, Siobhan, but you know, you see, you're behind the police then. But otherwise from that, it's okay. It's okay. We just have to abide with the law. And as long as we keep inside the law, we know say all right.
I'm happy to hear that, Willow. I wish more of your folk would actually accept that, you know, and don't think the police just harassing you for harassing your sake.
Yeah, man. As long as you just do what you know is right, you know you're all right. Yeah, man. So we try to do what is right in the day. So, yeah, because I'm in a work late, you know, because come out early in the morning and by 4:30, 4 o'clock, so I pull off the road. Try to reach home that I can do my little walk and my little exercise and keep the blood circulate, you know. Because sitting on the steering all day, you know, you have to do that.
That's a good mentality to have.
Yes, man. Yeah.
And how are things looking for the Christmas, Willow?
Well, Siobhan is not a really Christmas man, you know, but it's because the family, like, next week now heading to Portland because we're going to have a little family thing down there, down in Manchani, Lang Road there in Portland. So we have a little family thing and we could get together. The family come from overseas. So the rest of us that is here, we just go over and we just have a little dinner together and we enjoy ourselves.
That's a good thing. That's good. I think that's at least once a year the extended family should get together. And Christmas is the best time for that to happen. That has been Christmas my family's tradition every Christmas day. Everybody from overseas, whether in the Cayman, UK, US, we go down to Esmin house, that's my grandmother. We eat the curry goat, we eat the baked chicken, and we just have a good Christmas day.
Yes, man. That is what we do. Yeah, man. We enjoy, man, and enjoy ourselves. Yeah, man, and talk about things that we don't see each other for a long while, so we just talk and we renew everything. So we just get together. Yes, man, that is Christmas for me. I don't know for the rest because it's because I don't drink and I don't smoke, I don't party. That is what that is how it is for me.
I'm the same boat. Those are a few habits I've never picked up. I don't think my lips have ever touched alcohol in the 30 plus years I've been on this planet.
Okay. Well, I usually do it, you know, but you see, my life changed and everything. So for the past 25 years, my life has been changed. So I try to live up.
Understood. I'm happy to hear it, Willow. Thank you for the call.
Yes, man.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, man.
Reagan, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Shaban.
How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm okay, you know.
What's going on? What's on your mind?
Yes, a lot of things are on my mind. I don't think time will allow.
Well, let's see what we can get to, eh?
But yes, let me get into what I'm really worried about this body that is set up to investigate what you would say, public bodies. I don't want to call it integrity. Could you give me a word?
No, but let us call them by its name. They are the Integrity Commission. That's the name of the office.
Huh?
That's the name of the office, the Integrity Commission.
All right, well, let me address it. Brownie, you can't take time. Let me start, man. Around here, can I hear you right? Yes.
So like your house lively this evening.
Yes. So I am worried, Shaban, as to why we can't get this body to operate now way that is widely accepted by Jamaicans and a whole. Right?
I hear the concerns about the Integrity Commission, and well, let us say that the commission has existed mostly now for the lifetime of one administration.
Yes.
So we don't really have a comparison to make as to how it would have treated another administration, and it just stands to reason that the administration is in power is going to be the one that tends to be targeted the most in terms of anti-corruption concerns and anti-corruption allegations, and as a result you're going to end up with more reports on that administration or along the same vein. That is how it's going to work out. I don't know if I share this view with so many that the Integrity Commission is targeting the whole this administration. What I think happens, and I think it is borne out because I've heard a few people from the PNP camp say this, that what happens is you have people who call the Integrity Commission regularly to say, okay, I've witnessed this act of corruption, I've witnessed that act of corruption, and the Integrity Commission is obliged to investigate it and find out if that is credible.
But Siobhan, nothing wrong with investigating something the body is set out to do so, What is wrong with that? Nothing wrong with it. It is how these people have looked into these things and how they come across in the public domain.
I agree there's been missteps on the part of the commission. There have been quite a few missteps on the part of the commission in terms of, and ironically, most of them seem to be in terms of how they handle the Prime Minister's investigations. That tends to be where the missteps seem to happen quite often.
Yes, and I don't think anyone would say it is unreasonable to come to some of the conclusions that people have been drawing nowadays into the timeliness of some of their reports.
The problem is the Integrity Commission does not speak to the people. I think ultimately they don't explain their rationale, they don't explain their reasoning, they don't regularly come and give updates. I think they should have been in front of the commission.
But here's the challenge with that, and I agree. But the politicians have that power, and I know they are somewhat hesitant because of previous things that may have happened before the Integrity Commission was set up. But they probably need to remove that gag order, because the Integrity Commission, in most instances, will cite that clause of the Integrity Commission Act, which prevents them from properly explaining what is it that they're doing, investigations that they are doing, even though the politicians have said that, look, you can utilize the provision where you send an interim report to the parliament. Yeah? But so maybe, and look at it. Maybe we need to put it back in the hands of the politician to make changes to the Integrity Commission Act. Yeah? Maybe that's where we need to head.
Yeah, and on the question of bias.
Yes.
I hear a gentleman who was called to the parliament to explain what? To explain how they would have arrived at some conclusion as it relates to the Prime Minister's declaration. And that gentleman was all over the place. No, he said that there is no bias. But I don't think he was called to the parliament to explain, right, what a thing that happened last year when there was an attack on one of their colleagues. Right? Nobody in the parliament asked him that question, but yet that came up. Why? He cannot tell me that there isn't any full-scale case of bias there, because that wasn't a subject, right? So it is that malice inside why you have to bring up something like that.
I will say this, that during that sitting where the Integrity Commission came before the parliament, I could not, not the chairman necessarily, but I could not help but note almost a sense of contempt that the executive director had for the JLP members of the caucus. Almost as if any question they directed at him was I don't know if I can find a word that's very diplomatic here, but he had a certain level of contempt to any questions he was asked of during that sitting, and I was almost taken aback by it. As if he felt he should not be there, as if he felt he should not be questioned by lawmakers. And it was very strange to see that kind of behavior from someone who holds such high office.
I was also shocked, Siobhan, just of the posture of those from the Integrity Commission when I watched that sitting. And as I indicated, the back and forth between the politicians and Jamaicans overall, and the politics behind it from some persons on social media and the Integrity Commission, it has to stop. And we have to really look on what are the changes that the politicians will have to make from their end, legislative changes, if any. And I cited one that they may need to look at. That's the so famous gag clause.
And that's one that's not going to change.
And also from the side of the Integrity Commission, because there are things on their side that they also have to address. And I have said before that the statement made by its executive director, when one of their own was held up, when he had the sum of cash, and the comment that he made was wrong. And from then, I've publicly stated on radio that he should have resigned for that statement that he made, because he alluded that the government had something to do with it. And I don't care if it's PNP or JLP, whoever is in power. The fact that he said that for me was egregious, and it reached a point for me that he should have resigned. And the Integrity Commission remained completely silent on that particular matter. So just generally, there are issues from both ends that must be resolved, because this continuous back and forth with what Jamaicans may think about the Integrity Commission and what the Integrity Commission, their stance on certain things, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for any of us, because I've said before, there is a place for the Integrity Commission. But what is happening now is really unhealthy.
So you feel there's no possibility of that commission going forward with the same commissioners?
I don't think so. I'm just being very honest. I don't think so. Jamaicans, some Jamaicans have lost trust in the Integrity Commission based on statements that would have been made. And then the politics now is coming into the fray, which is not helping the process at all. And maybe the best thing is to reset, get new commissioners, start afresh with the Integrity Commission. But I don't think the way it's going now, it's serving the interests of anyone.
I can't disagree with that at all, Sanjay. That's not a bad way to put it. But I think at the very least, the Auditor General must be removed from the commission, because I feel that the role that she serves as the Auditor General, it becomes a conflict when she is also on the Integrity Commission. And I believe the lawmakers, at the very least on both sides, recognize that that is one issue when that legislation's review is complete, must be changed. As to the tenure of the rest of the commissioners, I think it comes to an end in February. I find it highly unlikely that their tenures are going to be, if they're even going to seek for those tenures to be extended, I don't see it happening. I don't see the Prime Minister giving the okay for their tenures to be resumed beyond that February date. But listeners, as I said, we're up on a break and we're taking your calls. If you want to call in, the numbers are 630-9371-4 and 618-8255.
Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The time by the 1JN Passport app is
7:31.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Who shops at Creative Building Finishes? You, the homeowner who creates luxurious spaces with our floor and wall tiles. The contractor and builder who are convinced that our ceramic tiles are right for the job. The architect and designer who make dreams come true with our wood look and porcelain tiles. Superior customer service, knowledgeable staff, inviting showroom, and you get where this is going, right? Shop 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get Creative Building Finishes.
Start your engines and drive out with a brand new car with the ATL Rule the Road promotion.
Wait a minute, get it how you live.
Kia, BYD, Honda, BMW, Mini, Audi, and VW are coming to Nationwide 90 FM.
Big stepper, underground method.
6 Bradley Avenue on December 13, 16, and 17 for viewing. Catch the excitement on December 13 during the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. Then catch them again on December 16 and 17 during Cliff Views Online, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Hey man, I want up your like I'm a kid.
Bring your family, friends, co-workers, and the relatives you haven't talked to in years to Nationwide 90 FM. Men, come for a car for yourself and your lady. You won't get a deal better than this. Can't make it? Tune into the E-Zone from 3 to 5 p.m. on December 13 and the Cliff Views Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on December 16 and 17. It's the ATL Rule the Road promotion. 6 Bradley Avenue, December 13, 16, and 17. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by ATL Automotive.
.33 and we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Dave, you're on the line. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, sir.
How are you doing?
Doing quite well.
Good.
Very well. So I heard you guys saying that the Integrity Commission can get a report from any Joe Blow and then present it in a report about anybody without the presumption of innocence.
I don't know about anybody. I think anybody in public service.
And they would have to do the investigation.
Right. So the investigation comes up with nothing, and you can call people names just like that?
As in the final report?
Yeah. What do you mean?
I'm saying based on this latest report that they brought out, it appears to me that they get a call stating that somebody called them and made statements about the Prime Minister. And then this is how the Prime Minister's name ended up into their report. Is that so? Is that correct?
No. And maybe, Siobhan, you want to take on that one. But based on my reading of the report, it's not that someone called the Prime Minister name and then they just mention it. They, in essence, in explaining how the Prime Minister had any link at all to that company, I would say it's a whirlwind explanation. And it's so far-fetched in my mind that I was a little surprised that the Integrity Commission would go down that road. But if you read it in detail, it explains, the company and what one company purchasing shares in another and then what was wound up. And it's very far-fetched, so to speak. Right? So the average Joe looking at that report would say the Prime Minister did something wrong. But if you read the report in its entirety, you could see how the Prime Minister name was mentioned to begin with. I don't know if I don't know if that explains.
You're spot on in terms of that analysis, but I think what Dave is asking is why the Prime Minister's name came up in that report. And yes, they received a whistleblower tip that a property owned by the Prime Minister was involved in some kind of breach at the KSAMC.
There's no responsibility on the part of the commissioners to protect
the identities?
No, to protect the reputation of the Prime Minister. Then you just call his name. I'm just shocked. Are we getting value for money? That's my call. Are we getting value for the money that we're paying?
You raise an interesting point, because if you look now and use the Auditor General as a template, she does not name names unless it's specifically required in her reports. She refers to offices and individual positions, but she never puts names in the report unless it just simply cannot be avoided. And I find it strange that that is not the same specific, when it's specifically not the person, the target of the investigation is not an individual. Why mention their names at all? Can't you simply say person A or individual B or position C And as you said, if you read that report and having concluded that the Prime Minister did not own the property, he simply had given the property to this business, and he is no longer a shareholder in the property. Is it a requirement then at that point that he be named in that document?
Which is my challenge with it, Carla and Siobhan, because I understand from the onset how there could be somewhat of a link. However, the way that the report was put out, and you understand, when you put something on social media, Jamaicans are not going to read through the documents in its entirety to understand the different aspects of what is taking place. The speculation now that is left there, that is the issue I have. And the Integrity Commission also has a responsibility to protect the reputation of those that they investigate.
Can I offer an observation? In about a year and a half ago, whenever there's a poll done, the most popular politician is the Prime Minister. And it prior to a year and a half ago, he was constantly on top. And I feel personally, this is my personal view, that in order to get rid of the GLP, you have to get rid of the head. And I think the attack, it would appear to me a coordinated attack on the Prime Minister to diminish him. I've been on across. I'm visiting Jamaica, and I've been across two other tertiary institutions. And I can tell you, the sentiments, the nasty stuff that you hear when you're within earshot, it's a damn disgrace what they're doing to the person with the face of Jamaica, tarnishing the man's reputation. He was at a conference when Greg Christie retweeted something, and it must have been embarrassing. It must have been embarrassing. How far will this Integrity Commission go to tear him down? It's a damn disgrace, and we're not getting value for money. The other thing that I want to bring up is that I feel strongly about civil society. They're strong whenever the Prime Minister come out and say anything. But whenever there's an attack on him, they don't come out and defend. They go silent and say they don't offer no comment. Hello?
I hear you. I hear you.
We're listening.
Yeah. They sit on their laurels and say, look, we don't offer no comment. It's as if we see a man, it's as if they're tarnishing enough and they don't have a comment to make. They don't have anything to offer. And it's a damn disgrace. They should call themselves. Anyway, I'm so disappointed. I'm really disappointed. I'm not going to tell you that some of the things that the GLP has done, they don't cause it on themselves. But trust me, some of the things that I'm seeing is a damn disgrace. And I'm very, very disappointed. Very disappointed. It's the first time I'm picking up the phone to make a call. And it's because I'm hearing that when you guys talked about the Integrity Commission get a report and somebody called, you don't do that to people. If somebody can just call and make a report about a public person, and then you claim that you don't have enough to do investigation, but yet still you can conclude this one within 4 or 5 months.
But to be fair to the Integrity Commission, individuals can call in and give information, and they
have
do
to
the
decide if it's
necessary
credible.
research, and they decide if it's credible or not.
A lot of things are being conflated, and I think it's a coordinated attack. And it's either incompetence, sleight of hand, or deliberate malicious attack on the Prime Minister. And I think this only goes playing the hand of the party that is desperate for power. That's how I see it.
I hear you.
Good night, gentlemen.
And just to look back now at the executive summary and just how I have to say how poorly written it is. This is the executive summary, and I can see why some media houses, just by looking at the executive summary, got so much of this wrong. It says this investigation report was commenced following receipt of a report alleging irregularities in the development and building approval processes relating to property owned by the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Michael Holness. Hereinafter, Dr. Holness, however, initial inquiries led the investigation to focus on a residential development located at 2 Waycliffe Close, Beverly Hills, Kingston 6, hereafter referred to as The Development, which is owned by Estate Bridge Holdings Limited, hereafter referred to as Estate Bridge. The investigation found that the development was being constructed contrary to the terms of the planning approval and building permit issued by the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, hereafter referred to as the KSAMC, and the Building Act, whilst planning approval and the building permit were issued for the construction of 4 semi-detached townhouses in 2 two-story buildings consisting of 2-bedroom units. At the commencement of the investigation, the erected development consisted of 4 4-bedroom units. The DI concludes that the breaches were deliberate and that the directors of Estate Bridge are liable. The DI also concludes that the KSAMC failed to effectively discharge their responsibilities to ensure compliance with the terms of the approvals. Nowhere in that executive summary does it point out that the property is not owned by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is no longer a shareholder in the company. And when you use this now, you just look at the executive summary and you write something based on that executive summary, you go away with the entirely wrong conclusion.
Yes. You're spot on, Siobhan, and that is the problem I had with the report. Nothing is wrong to say that you received this whistleblower tip and you decided to investigate. But in that executive summary, just as how it's in the body of this document, the Integrity Commission should have stated that after they have completed their investigations, they are satisfied that the Prime Minister is not a shareholder of the company and the Prime Minister does not own the property that is mentioned herein. That is what should have been included in the executive summary. Because I read it, and then when I went through the report, I'm like, okay, they have found out that the Prime Minister is not linked to the property. He doesn't own it. Yeah? But they didn't say that in the executive summary. So for the average Joe who decides, I'm not reading this document in its entirety, and they decide to just read the executive summary, they would leave thinking that the Prime Minister is a director of this company, which they are, based on what they have indicated, they are in breach. Even though, and let us make it very clear, that the company in question, they have publicly stated that they reject this summary of the Integrity Commission, and they are of the belief that they are not in breach of any building code.
Precisely. Lenz, good evening.
Howdy, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, Lenz. Good evening.
Yes, sir. I could make a comment on what what the gentleman just said before. There is a little thing about people in government and operating businesses. In order not to be in conflict with the law or having a conflict of interest, there are times when you have to take yourself away from the directorship of those companies. And I don't know if with that knowledge, the Integrity Commission would go after persons who have so done. So we need, when scrutinizing these things, we might be mindful of the intention or what is at the back of the heads of these commissioners or these investigators, that maybe somebody just take themselves away to return sometime in the future when this thing, they are no longer in conflict with this company and their position in government or in any other company. But that is not what I call about. My bone of contention is listening to Minister Mallahu Fort the other day, telling us that there will be provisions for people living in the diaspora to sit in our parliament. For me, it is a scary position.
Why?
I have a problem with people living somewhere else or have the ability to go elsewhere after dictating how I live where I am. And I have that situation right here at home where people vote somewhere that they don't live. So I live in Duane Park, Western St. Andrew. But I used to live in Northwest St. Andrew. And I have not changed my address after living in Duane Park for 20 years. Each time an election is called, I still go back to Northwest St. Andrew to vote.
Mm-hmm. That's not unusual.
Exactly. But is it right? Is it fair to the people of both Western St. Andrew and Northwest St. Andrew?
I can see that being argued both ways. I can generally see both sides of that argument.
What I'm going to show you is the flip side to it, because individuals within the diaspora, they contribute significantly to the development of the country. Yeah, I can start out by talking about the remittances that they send back to the country, which it's a foreign exchange earner for us. Let me just finish the point. So, with one person being in the Senate, I'm not so sure that that person would have such a loud voice that they could collectively sway the others in the Senate. But however, being in the Senate, they can represent the voice of the people within the diaspora. And I'm not so sure why you would see a problem with that one person contributing to policy within the country, because those in the diaspora, they contribute significantly towards the development of the country.
I don't, okay, here's my position. I don't see the diaspora people having any significant investment in the country. They have their relatives and friends here that they send remittances to.
I can see that argument, yes.
Right. The thing about it, I have families abroad. And I do not wish for their influence on mine here. For whatever reason, they choose to live abroad. Yes, whether they can't find a job here or a job that can pay them enough here, so they go abroad.
But let me put this here. And I'm not saying I support this idea of the diaspora sitting in the Senate. But let me put this here. When you talk about contributions to nation development, what about when we call on athletes in the diaspora to serve for us for example, in football or at the Olympics? Wouldn't that then essentially say that they should be cut from that? They shouldn't be allowed to do that either?
And also those in the diaspora who may own businesses in the country that employ several individuals.
Let me answer you. To be a national, you need to be a national. So for my national players, I do not regard my grandnephews and granddaughters Jamaican citizens living abroad. I don't. They are not Jamaican, and I will never call upon them to come and play for our national team. They are Americans or British citizens or Caymanians or whichever country they want to live in. That's where they were born. Their parents choose to go there and live, and that's where they were born. If I so do choose to go and live, look here, I'm from Chilani. I'm not going back down there to vote. My vote is here. I am one of those who believe that you should be charged if you live somewhere for more than 5 years and you have not changed your address to that place where you're living. You should be charged.
But what about people who maintain multiple residencies across different parishes, as do a lot of Jamaicans that have their family home and they have their home where they go to work at?
No. You have a mailing address, you have a residence address. So if you want to live, if you want to vote somewhere, you make up your mind where you're going to vote. Is it where you do your business or where you live?
Well, what about those in the diaspora? They have businesses in the country and employ several individuals.
Live in the country.
So they should close the business and all these people out of a job.
All all these Chinese nationals that are here working, they're going to be voting here. Look, I don't have a problem with people working abroad. You know. I don't have that problem. The problem I have is when you live somewhere and you don't vote there. You go and vote somewhere else.
No, man, but you haven't answered my question, though. Those in the diaspora that they would have business in the country, employing several individuals, are you suggesting that because they live overseas, they should close those businesses and those individuals should go home?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I still do not want you to vote for me.
Oh, so it's okay for them to have businesses in Jamaica, pay taxes, but they should not contribute in terms of voting to the direction or in what direction their country should go.
Exactly. I don't want you to vote for me.
Even though I'm paying taxes and I'm employing individuals.
All right, Carlo. You see, Carlo, I see what you're saying. You see, I get both sides of this argument. I don't think it's one that is easily settled. I have already come down on the side where I said that I don't believe someone who is not resident in Jamaica, living in Jamaica, is Jamaican, should sit in either house of the parliament. I've come down and said that quite clearly. But I can still be persuaded to suggest that of the two bodies, the Senate, which I have already recognized as not a democratic body, I can recognize where, or be persuaded to say where, a representative of the diaspora can serve in the Senate. Even if I don't like it on principle, I can be so persuaded. But I firsthand just believes the Senate and the House of Representatives should only be fielded by Jamaicans with Jamaican citizenship.
I honestly believe that, and you have to understand this, the moment you open your door to let in someone, that person is gonna draw the line. I don't know if you are old enough to remember Bugs Bunny drawing the line with Single Sam. And each time he draws a line, he controls that position.
How young do you think I am?
He's not giving up that position until Timothy Sam is over the precipice. The next thing, look here, man. You know how it. I don't know what you're gonna describe it after I say this, but you know how hurt I felt when an Indian became the Prime Minister of the English, and I'm not an English, and I'm,
you mean Rishi Sunak? But Rishi Sunak is an English citizen. I don't understand.
Yes, he is. He is. But just the fact that he is an Indian, it still, it rubs me a little bit.
I don't know if I can go down that way.
He was born in the UK, though.
Exactly. I don't know if I can go down that road with you, Carlo.
I'm not going down the road, but it's just the awkwardness of it. I'm not saying that he's not English, because people still regard him as Indian. They don't say he's of Indian descent. He's an Indian.
But he can't help the fact that he is of Indian heritage. We shouldn't be punishing him for immutable characteristic.
No, I'm not punishing for that. But it's just the way maybe I see things from a caste point of view. I don't know. But really and truly, I don't know if you remember the former senator who ran several times and left and eventually packed his bag and left and went to Canada to live. I think Redwood or something like that his name was. Right? I don't want people who are able to pack their bags and run away.
Fair. That is fair, Carlo. I appreciate that.
A former member of parliament for Western St. Andrew did the same.
Understood, Carlo. I appreciate that, but I want to take at least one more caller, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your position on this, and as I said, it is not an easy issue to solve, and I can see both sides of it. So I want to take one more caller, so I appreciate your call.
Yeah, man. One love.
All right, have a good evening. Okay. Who else we have now? Jamaica, man. We have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that guy's a talker, man. And good night, gentlemen.
Good
my
night.
2 cents right now is the Integrity Commission. it is a no-brainer. And it's a waste of time for people to keep on going over these about integrity commission. There's no integrity commission right now. It is void. It is void. They're done, man. The argument must cease. Their salary should be freeze right now. It's a joke.
I wouldn't go so far to say that.
No compromise. It's a joke. The contract should be cancelled. They fall on their own sword. It's done. We need integrity commission, but not those set of people. There are one or two in there may continue, but they must go. If they have an integrity right now, they should do the moral thing. So one by one, just step away. Start from Greg Christie. He should go on it. He should be the first one. He tell lies on a prime minister and he still sit there. What an integrity commission can you have?
No, we have to be careful now. We can't come... You see, we have to be careful when we come on radio, listener. Can't come and say certain things. Don't want anybody to sue us, all right? Can't say certain things without, having the facts to support what you're saying.
I agree with Sanjay there, but I think... Caller? Yeah, we lost the caller. And just as well, we're out of time. Listeners, viewers, thank you for joining us again for the cover story. I thank our technical operator for the evening, Damian Cunningham, the girl named Stunningham.
So I can make up that one dance.
No, I made it up a couple of days ago. Dana Davey, our super producer, and or my friends and compatriots in the news and production department, led this evening by the very capable Kimon Francis. Thank you for joining us, listeners. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Can you believe tomorrow is Friday? Oh my God. I'm wishing for you a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll catch you again tomorrow.
Start